about 5 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show, our Trade and Investment Convention edition on this Thursday morning. Now, the Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago, or TSTT, has been a sponsor of the TIC for over 10 years. And so joining me to talk more about that partnership and what value it brings to the company is the Senior Manager of Reputation Management at TSTT, Mr. Khamal Georges. Mr. Georges, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I am good. It feels a bit weird being on the other side of the questions this morning. But
and you didn't used to go easy on people, so
I'm
not going to go easy on you.
I beg your mercy.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
of course,
me.
in your new role as well.
Yeah.
So the TIC has been around for 23 years. Yeah. And of course, the TSTT has partnered with the organization for over 10. Yeah. What sort of value has TSTT been seeing, partnering with the TIC?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. And before I go straight into the answer, I wanted to also commend the TIC for what they've been able to accomplish. Yeah. We've been able to work with some members of the team yesterday in hosting our webinar, looking at the launch that took place last night, and also the booths that have been set up there, and they've been really doing a great job. So we've partnered with TIC for more than a decade, and that definitely shows that there is value in that relationship. When we look at what the Trade and Investment Convention has been able to achieve in terms of providing a platform for businesses to connect and to grow and to scale, I remember Mr. Ramdeen speaking about a small company that came to the Trade and Investment Convention some years ago, and now they're exporting to Guyana, they're exporting to Jamaica, they're exporting to Barbados. And so $700 million in deals. That is fantastic. That provides a platform for businesses to grow. And that is really closely aligned to our own ethos at TSTT, which is, as the country's largest communication solutions provider, we also see ourselves as an enabler of business. We do that differently, not through the Trade and Investment Convention, but we do that through creating connectivity and creating solutions, digital solutions for businesses. And we do that really through our cloud solutions. Mm-hmm. So we have invested significantly in our infrastructure. And so what we are able to provide businesses, large and small, is that ability to scale their operations, to be flexible. It is cost effective. And so they can focus on the things that matter to them, which is strategy, growing their business, and we will handle the IT solutions for them. So by partnering with TIC, we see ourselves as enabling economic growth, supporting business. So it's not just about earning money, but it's really about supporting, being a nucleus for economic development and business development in this country.
Of course. Now, the cloud solutions that you mentioned it's going to be tailored to small and medium enterprises as well. Things like confidentiality and, storing that data in the cloud. Yeah. Can TSTT ensure their customers that they can provide the service as well?
Absolutely. One of the things that has to be done as part of our data center is we have frequent audits to ensure that our services are reliable and that they can withstand any potential attacks. So we've been able to ensure that that has not happened. In terms of security as well, we bring in some of the top tier people from around the world to ensure that our systems can withstand some of those attacks, and therefore that translates to our customers as well, and they can attest to that in terms of security. I know, for example, that recently we've had in the local landscape ransomware attacks, and it's interesting because the people who are on our cloud, they are more resilient when it comes to some of those attacks. In fact, in speaking to our technical team, we've been able to help some companies that have been victims of some of those ransomware attacks because they've been on our solutions. They've been subscribed to our cloud solutions. So fear not.
Now, while we say fear not, of course, we have the tricky situation in Trinidad where we also have another telecommunication provider. And so what is the competitive advantage that TSTT can offer to their clients and even new customers who may be interested?
Well, there's no other data center in Trinidad and Tobago like ours. We recently underwent an audit by EPI, global company, and what it affirmed is that TSTT's data center is by far the #1 in Trinidad and Tobago. That also ranked us very highly in the region, not just the Caribbean region, but also Latin America as well. So we feel very confident that our data center is bar none, in Trinidad and Tobago, and we compete very well across the region.
Of course. Now, the TIC's theme, of course, is resilience in business.
Sure.
And I'm wondering, how does that align with TSTT's mandate?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting because the theme of our webinar yesterday, we held a webinar as part of the TIC's business education series, and our theme was creating resilient businesses through cloud solutions. So it's very much aligned in that sense. And during that webinar yesterday, our Senior Manager of IT Infrastructure, Tanya Muller, she spoke and she gave some really good examples of how our cloud solutions have helped businesses. So you spoke about ransomware attacks. Think about our disaster recovery as a service, our backup as a service. You have, or your business suffers a disaster, for example. It may be a flood, it may be a hurricane, it may be an attack. Your information is extremely critical for the functioning of your business. And therefore, when you lose that, or if you lose that, the downtime that creates, the loss of money, is detrimental to your organization. And so we've had cases where people have had ransomware attacks, they've had disasters, but because they've either backed up their service with us, their downtime has been diminished. And therefore they've been able to get up and running in a much faster time. We've also had people storing their financial information with us, and therefore when they too suffer disasters, they've been able to just get back into it. So that really helps to insulate businesses and create resilience when they are operating in a highly digitized world. Yeah. You are down for a few minutes, you're down for a few hours, and the cost, the impact on your business is significant. So our services are really catered to ensuring business resilience. When you think about backup as a service, disaster recovery as a service, infrastructure as a service, and for large businesses, it's easier for them, I would say, to invest in the cloud. One misconception that people have is that cloud services are expensive, right?
Because I like that you brought up that, because I was also about to ask as well, and you can probably answer this when you're finished, the cost to TSTT as well to put this infrastructure in place.
So we have invested significantly in it because it was also beneficial to us. We started off using it, and therefore we can attest to the benefit that it has brought to us. So when we go to clients, we can say, listen, we've used this, we stand by it, and this is how it's going to help you. But on the issue of cost, we have a saying internally that for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can access cloud services. So there's this misconception that cloud services are very expensive. And Tanya said it very well yesterday. Businesses have their strategy, and they think of the IT solutions. The IT solutions are a huge cost to them. You know, you have internal servers, you have to upgrade them frequently. If you come to us with your strategy, we can help you devise your IT solution so that you don't really have to worry too much about it. We've been 100% reliable. We've not had any downtime. So when you think about what that does to a business in terms of continuously being up and running, the benefit of that is tremendous.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Now, while you mentioned the cloud solutions, while you also mentioned the data center, what other new services are you offering to your customers?
So we're continuously looking to ensure that our cloud solutions, are the highest ranked in the region. So we are partnering with people to expand our cloud services as much as possible. That webinar yesterday was part of that. We want to ensure that cybersecurity as well is something that we invest heavily in and can provide our customers. Outside of our cloud solutions, there are some very exciting things that are coming up for TSTT that I can't go into just yet. I can't. I will get in a lot of trouble, But as the company, refines and redefines itself, it is looking at new ways of diversifying its product offering. Yeah. And in the coming days, weeks, and months, you'll be seeing a lot of exciting things that span a number of areas. So whether it be commerce, security, health, you'll be hearing a lot more about that. And all of those things are tied to ensuring that businesses remain a lot more resilient, that they support businesses, business growth, business and economic development.
Right. Now, you have mentioned a few times that webinar that you had yesterday. Tell us about the webinar and, of course, the purpose of it.
So when we talk about that misconception, people, they think about cloud and they're not necessarily sure what it is and how they can incorporate it into their businesses. So we really took the opportunity as the technology sponsor for this year's TIC to to educate interested parties a lot more about what our cloud solutions can provide to their businesses. And this year we focused a lot on small and medium enterprises because large organizations generally have an appreciation for what cloud solutions and cloud services can do for their businesses, but I think small businesses in particular don't see it as an option for them. Mm-hmm. And Tanya yesterday mentioned, for example, a hairdresser can use cloud services in a small way to digitize, for example, their customer information. She mentioned a customer as well who has Chicken Depot. You can digitize your orders, your logs, and you can store that in the cloud as well, so that when you want to access it, or when you're doing your inventory or your finances, you have easy access to that and not going through a manual book. Mm-hmm. So yesterday's webinar really focused on educating people about what cloud services can do in a real way for your business, and that it is really not just for large enterprises. We can scale it for any type of business. Once you come to us, we will sit with you, we will look at your operations, and we can recommend what it is for you. And as I mentioned as well, the cost is something that will be in terms of long term, mm-hmm. it'll be very cost effective. Of
course. Now, of course, this is an international convention, right? Yeah. So we have businesses coming from, abroad and also from the region. What sort of reach is TSTT wanting to have or expecting to have in the region or even internationally?
So from a cloud services perspective, we hope that at some point, when we think about how we are ranked in the region, we feel that we are very well positioned to consider exploring options outside of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to go into it too much as yet because that is not my area of expertise, and we're still working through some of that. But I know that we are certainly looking to expand our offering, because one important factor, and I think that will be tremendously beneficial from a regional perspective, is that our legislation does not allow us to share your data with a third party. So unlike the United States, for example, even though you're on Amazon Web Services, I think the US legislation allows, for some, depending on whether it be government or legal, they are allowed to, or they are mandated to share depending on the circumstances. Our legislation does not allow that. So when people put their information or store their information with us, or they register with our cloud services, they can be guaranteed that that information stays here. Okay. And so we are looking at opportunities regionally, and we do hope that there are, I heard Mr. Rampersad speaking about some of the connections. We hope that we are able to make some great connections here as well through the services that we are providing today.
Nice. And finally, Khamal, anything else you want to add before we close?
No, that's good. I really do hope that the Trade and Investment Convention there is a tremendous success. We've seen the benefit of it over the years in terms of what it has done for small businesses, and that's why we will continue to support the Trade and Investment Convention. I wish them all the best.
Of course. Well, of course, thank you so much for joining us. All the best to TSTT, and of course, all the best to you as well in your new role.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And all the best. Take care.
Thank you. And that was Mr. Khamal Georges, the Senior Manager of Reputation Management at TSTT, just sharing some of the connections that they hope to gain at the Trade and Investment Convention 2022. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to keep the interviews coming, so please stay with us. We have so much more.